It's a story you'll see only on NBC 26. It's a growing problem across the nation and here in Wisconsin. Mental illness services are few and far between, and with so many people hitting their breaking point, the need to address the lack of care has never been greater. Tonight, in part one of our two-part series, NBC 26's Alex Hagan takes us inside the minds of mental health experts in their fight to save lives.
A wave of violence has struck our nation, even here in northeast Wisconsin, which sheds light on the problem. But as we look into mental illness care, we begin to realize the issue is nothing new. On a calm, gorgeous May evening in Menasha, a community was shaken.
We were all touched, of course, by this tragedy.
Police tape surrounded a symbol of beauty in the Fox Valley, the Trestle Trail.
I'm hearing shots fired on the Trestle Trail.
Innocent victims of a shooting.
3 lives, Jonathan and Olivia Stoffel and Adam Benthal, were taken by gunman Sergio Valencia del Toro.
The depression, he had the alcoholism problem.
Menasha police released a behavioral health report on Del Toro. Records obtained show he had suicidal and homicidal thoughts during his service in the Air Force. Dating back to October 2010, Del Toro had about 14 appointments with behavioral health, but no mental health treatment prior to joining the military. His depression started between the ages of 7 and 8 years old.
We can only say the could-haves and would-haves could have maybe made a difference in this.
Beth Clay, executive director of the Northeast Wisconsin Mental Health Connection, says an important reminder is not everyone who suffers from mental illness will become violent. However, an incident like the Trestle Trail shooting does raise awareness.
What it brings up, or what it should bring up for us, is not the fact that the person has mental illness, but the fact that they've not been able to get the treatment that they need.
And therein lies the problem. Clay says there is a severe shortage of psychiatrists in Wisconsin. In fact, there are more than 270 open positions in the state.
Our first access problem is sometimes we don't have enough providers. But Access 2.0 is we might have enough providers, but they might not specialize in the things that are needed.
And the need is so great, not just in Wisconsin, but nationwide. 1 out of every 4 adults suffers from some form of mental illness. Clay says their biggest challenge is getting people to talk about it.
The number one barrier to people seeking treatment is the stigma of mental illness.
And getting to them at a younger age as well. 1 out of 5 children suffer from some form of mental illness.
One of the big things was wait time. Kids being able to get the care they needed when they needed it was a driving issue.
Lisa Kogan-Preska, president of Catalpa Health, Mental Health and Wellness for Kids, says when Catalpa was formed, about 4,200 children were not getting the care they needed in the valley.
Early intervention, the quicker and the earlier that we can intervene with the child, the more progress and success we're going to make, and that's going to lead to better outcomes later on in life.
Realizing there is a growing need here in the Badger State is the first step. That realization was made well before tragedy struck in Menasha.
It's critical because people who need help aren't getting help, and we need to do something.
And tonight, state leaders in mental health are joining the fight to give everyone the care they need to prevent crisis situations. Now, another issue to add to the growing list, Clay says insurance coverage can sometimes become a barrier where it won't cover the intensity of services needed. I'm Alex Hagan with NBC 26.
There are multiple efforts going on in Wisconsin, both locally and at the state level. We will address that in part 2 of our mental health series. That's tomorrow on NBC 26 Live at 10.